Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to capture the essentials of this book in 8 minutes or less in English. We are diving straight into Geoffrey Moore's classic business framework, Crossing the Chasm. We're going to distill exactly why some tech innovations literally change the world, while others, even the ones with absolutely incredible, mind-blowing technology, spectacularly fail.
All right, here's our quick roadmap for today. 1. The high-tech illusion. 2. Discovering the chasm. 3. The D-Day strategy. 4. Building the whole product. And finally, 5. Pioneers to settlers. Let's jump right in.
Section 1. The high-tech illusion. You know, that seductive myth. We have to start with this incredibly optimistic dream that pretty much every single entrepreneur holds on to when they launch a disruptive innovation. Now, take a look at this beautifully smooth bell curve. It's the traditional technology adoption life cycle. And honestly, it presents this wonderful illusion of a completely seamless baton pass. The idea is that you start by selling to innovators on the far left, right? Then their enthusiasm just naturally spreads to the early adopters, who then smoothly hand it off to the early majority, and so on all the way to the laggards. It implies that if you just keep pushing, sheer momentum is going to carry you straight to mainstream dominance. Which brings us to part 2, discovering the chasm. Because experience has brutally taught us that this smooth curve, it's a fatal lie. It's an illusion that has wiped out billions of investment dollars from companies with amazing tech. Think of Segway or Iridium. The reality is actually far more dangerous. If you look closely, between these different adopter groups, there are hidden gaps. But the absolute most lethal element, the real killer, is that massive, dividing gap separating the early adopters from the early majority. That right there is the chasm. And let me tell you, it's not just a small crack you can step over. It is a full-blown abyss where promising products go to die.
So here is the crucial takeaway. Early market success, winning over those tech enthusiasts and visionaries, absolutely does not naturally guarantee mainstream dominance. In fact, right when you think sales are about to skyrocket, the momentum often just stops dead. Completely. Your early market is saturated, but the mainstream market, they are just not ready to step up yet.
Let's dig into the psychology here for a second, because this builds a deadly catch-22. Your early adopters are visionaries, right? They want a radical quantum leap forward. They are totally fine tolerating bugs if it means they get a competitive edge. But the early majority, they're pragmatists. They just want an incremental, completely risk-free productivity boost. And here's the trap. Pragmatists absolutely will not buy without reliable references, but they refuse to trust the visionaries as references because their goals are fundamentally opposed. So you're stuck. You need pragmatist references to sell to pragmatists, but you literally don't have any pragmatist customers yet.
All right, part 3, the D-Day strategy. How to invade the mainstream. To escape this terrifying chasm, we have to completely abandon the idea of selling to everyone. Actually, scratch that. We have to adopt a fiercely focused, almost warlike mindset.
I love this quote from Yogi Berra because it perfectly captures the danger of wandering aimlessly in the chasm. Look, when your sales dry up, it is so tempting to chase literally any customer with a budget. But trying to be everything to everyone just diffuses your resources. You have to pick a highly specific, targeted beachhead to invade the mainstream. Think of it exactly like the Allied invasion of Normandy on D-Day.
Following Moore's D-Day analogy, you cross the chasm by absolutely dominating one single narrowly bounded niche market. You don't go after all large enterprises. Take the software company Documentum back in the 90s. They were totally stuck in the chasm. So what was their point of attack? Not all document managers, no. They specifically targeted regulatory affairs departments in Fortune 500 pharmaceutical companies. Guys, there were only about 40 of these departments in the entire world. It was a tiny, tiny beachhead. But they conquered it, became the absolute standard, and then used that pragmatist reference base to expand outward.
Moving to part 4, building the whole product. Because winning that specific beachhead means waking up to a pretty harsh reality. The pragmatist buyer expects way more than just a cool piece of core technology.
You see, you cannot just sell the generic product, the base software or hardware. You have to assemble what Moore calls the whole product. This means surrounding your core tech with everything else they need. Third-party integrations, comprehensive training, 24/7 support lines, installation services, the whole shebang. The pragmatist wants a complete plug-and-play solution with zero risk.
And honestly, this perfectly explains why we have to focus on just one tiny niche.
As a startup stuck in the chasm, there's no way you have the resources to build a whole product for everybody. But by restricting your focus to a single niche, like those pharma regulatory affairs guys, you can rapidly build this entire ecosystem just for them. That generates intense, concentrated word of mouth, and it instantly establishes that perceived market leadership that pragmatists absolutely demand.
And to make those pragmatists comfortable enough to finally buy, you've got to radically shift your messaging. Before the chasm, you were probably bragging about product features, speed, and cool technical architecture to visionaries. But post-chasm, you must pivot toward proving your market reliability, your third-party support, and your company's overall stability. Pragmatists buy from market leaders, so your positioning needs to scream safe, reliable standard.
Finally, Part 5, Pioneers to Settlers, because successfully crossing the chasm forces a massive, and let's be real, often incredibly painful shift inside your own company walls.
Think about it. The team that got you to the edge of the chasm, they're pioneers. They thrive on the bleeding edge. They absolutely love chasing custom, one-off projects for brilliant visionaries. But if you leave them unchecked, they will drag you right back into the abyss. The mainstream market requires settlers. You need people who standardize the product, establish rock-solid procedures, and make the customer experience utterly predictable.
To survive this phase, you basically have to stop acting like a reckless early-stage startup. You've got to shatter that hockey stick financial illusion that hypergrowth is just going to happen overnight. You absolutely must stop all those custom R&D projects that only serve one visionary client. Instead, you have to adopt the disciplined, process-driven, profitable mechanics that actually serve the mainstream market. You aren't selling the future anymore, you are reliably delivering the present.
So think about your own venture for a second, or maybe the companies you invest in. Are you currently stuck trying to sell visionary chaos and unfinished, flashy features to a mainstream market that literally just wants reliability? Understanding your exact position on this adoption curve is absolutely paramount.
Are you out there pushing ahead as a pioneer when your market desperately needs a settler? Recognizing that shift is really the difference between changing the world and becoming just another cautionary tale. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to Books in 8 Minutes and never miss what matters.